Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the New Hotness, your weekly AltCycling roundup. Got a lot to talk about today. Foot-shaped shoes, the mad scientist rack maker of the Ukrainian. But before we get into it, if you guys have been enjoying this format, it's unsponsored, so if you want to help support the channel, please join us on Patreon, pick up some stickers. We still have our brand new caps in the store. Shipping from the US, apologies EU viewers, but kind of the contingencies of our visa. So with all that said, let's get into it. The first thing I found is this brand called Strong Feet Athletics. What makes their cycling shoe different is that it is based around a foot-shaped design. Most cycling shoes tend to be really narrow, optimizing for some super pointy toe aerodynamics. This takes a different approach. They've created a foot-shaped last, so a little bit wider toe box. So if you're fans of shoes like Lems, of Zero, and other brands like that, but have struggled to find a foot-shaped cycling shoe, then this might be an option. So I believe they just got their first shipment. We're supposed to get one to review. Hopefully, it will make it to us here in Spain, so we can give you our impressions. If you visit their website now, they give you a little bit of information about the thinking behind it. I think some fit tips. In talking with them, they're testing the waters, seeing if this sticks. This one is designed around clipless pedals, so I'm going to be riding clipless, to test these out. But if there is enough of demand, they said that they will work on a flat pedal version. So I feel like this is a long time coming. I don't know why the new thinking in footwear hasn't trickled into cycling. But here you go, Strong Feet Athletics if you're into foot-shaped cycling shoes. And now for something completely different. One of my favorite trends is the small bike trend. And Crust had an interesting small bike that they had on sale. It's since sold out. It looks as if they're developing a small bike around the 20-inch wheel size that they're calling the Stupid Tourist. This looks like it was a sample frame that they built up and then sold. But I'm kind of excited about where this goes. I feel like more and more people are getting into small bikes, either because of practical constraints. We live in an apartment, you take it on a train, it's a little bit easier to travel with, or they just want a bike that's just fun. Honestly, it's hard to not have fun on a small bike. Looking at the listing, we do get some information. It would come in a size small and a size large. Here's some basic measurements. Let's see. Interestingly, the trail is fairly low. So to my thinking, maybe designed definitely to carry with stuff on the front. Steepish head tube angles at 72 degrees. Chainstay length, nice and tucked at 415, although it looks really long when you have a small wheel like this. So we'll see if this bike goes into production by Crust. I think it's on brand. Love to see it out on the market. Next interesting find is RecceWorks. This is actually one of the two people that was behind the popular Jack the Bike Rack, which we reviewed on the channel. He's come out with his own personal project here. It's the DX35 bike packing bag. And this is a fun bag because I think it goes the complete opposite direction of the minimalist bike packer. So he's got a great post here on the Instagram. This is for us, bike packing over packers, and I count myself in this for sure, but pretty massive capacity. I think it's 25 liters for the main compartment itself, as well as 2 side pockets. You can fit Nalgene size water bottles, and it has kind of a removable brain, as it were, similar to bike packing backpacks. I don't believe it's for sale yet, but we're hopefully going to get one to review. If you go to their YouTube channel, they go a little bit more in depth into how it attaches. It's definitely designed for a bike with some kind of platform bag because it'll rest on there. There are 2 attachment points on the handlebars, one for alt bars and the other for drops. And then the cordage in the front, you can actually use that to secure to the rack and back to the bag itself. The bag is supposed to be waterproof with a dry bag liner. And again, this removable lid that kind of borrows from backpacking backpacks. So pretty interesting, especially if you're not into the whole minimalist bike packing thing. This is kind of like a Paradise on steroids. Next thing that caught my eye is Bike Radar. Got their fingers on the Shimano Qs, their kind of first impressions. And most interestingly is the crank. It comes in 2 iterations for the road version. So 5034, kind of standard fare, 4832. So according to this reporting, the 2x crankset uses a similar bolt pattern to the GRX. So 110 BCD, 4-bolt asymmetrical for the big ring, and a 80 BCD for the inner. Supposedly you can get smaller than 33. I'm not quite sure what the options are out there. If you do want a subcompact crankset, you're probably better off using the ones that are already out there on the market, like their 4226 and those cranks, which I think are better suited to really steep terrain and carrying heavy loads. The shifters look cool. It says that they're based similar to the 105 R700 shifters, which I quite like. They show the derailleur. It's the RDU 6020. Borrows a lot for mountain biking. I don't think this is the largest capacity rear derailleur. Again, that's the 8020, which I've used on a couple different hack videos. So interesting that it's out. If you guys know anyone that works at Shimano, if you work at Shimano, we've been trying for the past like 2 years to get on some kind of press list, so we can at least get press release, if not actual sample copies. So this is a direct appeal to you. I've slowly become a fan of Qs just because of its mix and match and its wide range possibilities. But Shimano, to me, is just a monolithic wall. I can't get anyone to respond. So if you have any connections at Shimano, if you work there yourself, I've tried through my contacts with no luck. DM us on Instagram or contact us through the website. The next interesting drop is by the brand Garbruk. You guys would have known I was one of the first to review their cage extender when I was creating the Budget Mullet series, and it looks like they've come out with their own wheel set, which is kind of cool to see how they've slowly progressed from just chain rings to derailleur cages to their own crankset. And now, of course, the natural progression is wheels. And if you want to catch people's attention, do it in purple. So supposedly they've developed their own hub as well as their own spokes, which are threaded into the hub flange. So instead of the hub flange having the head and threading into the rim, not exactly sure what's going on. I just do know that it comes in fun colors. So maybe we'll get a set to review. Who knows? It looks like the wheels are relatively light, but not the lightest out there. 1680. It's probably better than stock, but I'd be curious to see if it uses the Star Ratchet design or what exactly they're doing. Speaking of purple, or should I say ultraviolet, Wolftooth has come out with another colorway that goes across all the components that they make that they're calling ultraviolet. So all the purple things, purple pedals, purple grips, purple headset, valve cores, purple bolts, chainring bolts, all that good stuff. Pretty cool. I don't know if you know this about Wolftooth, but you can actually shop by color, which I think is brilliant because I know so many people like to color match, get everything just on point. And instead of piecemealing different parts from different brands, you can just pick a color on the Wolftooth site and get the color you want. And let's be honest, if you're going to come out with a color, purples, other than like black or silver, is probably the safest bet. One of the interesting things about living in Europe now is being exposed to new brands. And one of the ones that caught my eye is this brand called AltCycling. I believe they're based in Bristol in the UK, so not technically part of the European Union or Europe anymore. But I love their tagline here, future vintage steel, and you can tell from their imagery, from their videos, it's really channeling the rough stuff vibe. What I like about them is they've got some nice, solidly built bikes, classy aesthetics, well thought out in terms of gearing. For the most part, there are some things I'd change, but if you're looking for a classy adventure/touring bike and live in the UK or in Europe, I know that they have European offices, then AltCycling is one to check out. So last week we went to Paris. Hopefully you guys enjoyed those. And while we were there, we got turned on to a couple of other interesting French bike touring, bike packing related businesses. And this one looked like a fun one. It's called Bivouac, so bivouac.cc. And it's a couple that runs bike tours or bike packing experiences. And I love the themes of them. So they've got one which is based around karaoke, which I would definitely never do because I've got like a pathological fear about karaoke. But they also have another experience, which is all about pasta. And who doesn't love pasta unless you can't eat the gluten? And I think what's neat about this is it seems to be targeted towards younger folks, a little bit more affordable, shorter in duration. Here, I don't speak very much French or any French, but I can't piece this together, and it looks as if like a lot of the routes are accessible by train, and it's about discovering the unique territories and locations, as well as the food of the place. They've got their calendar up, lots of fun and interesting experiences. They've also got an Instagram at bivouac.cc, so if you want to check out their vibe, there you go. And speaking of Instagram, let's look at some interesting Instagram finds. This is from Tim Taz Rec. We met him briefly at the Bespoke Show in Dresden, and I thought this was kind of interesting. It's a little bit of a spin on the steer tube mounted standoff/rack. Here he takes it up to the next level. So it's a standoff, but also provides a little bit of a shelf. And what's interesting about this one is that it is height adjustable. You can see that the platform section is bolted onto this tongue, for lack of better words. There's a couple sets of drilling, so depending on how much tire clearance you have, how tall your handlebar is, or its placement on your steer, you can optimize the height of the platform. I think if you want this, you'd have to contact him directly, but some pretty cool, innovative design. So this next one is a real treat. His name is Pitvel Velikanov, based in Ukraine. And all it says on his listing is bicycle shop, but I've been following his account for a while, and he's just a crazy artist when it comes to bike racks. So many cool and innovative designs. This one has like built-in cup holders, low riders. It's got mounts, so you can put water bottle cages on it. This is another interesting one, a Port Tour with built-in low rider cages. This one's an interesting rack. It looks like he put on some fork ends or track ends on the rack itself, so you can carry wheels with you. So, you don't have to just strap them to your back or something, but there's a built-in mounting point to carry extra bike wheels. This one's really cool. It looks very similar to the racks that are on the postal bikes that we saw in Paris. It's a big and burly. And honestly, it just goes on and on. His Instagram account is just absolute treat in bicycle portage creativity. Here's one mini front rack he made for a Dahan. Also a variation on the steer tube supported rack. Seriously, you can just scroll through his Instagram and it's just, amazing rack after amazing rack. Like I said, he's based in Ukraine, super creative. From what I understand, he just makes these one-offs. So if you've got a rack idea or a handlebar idea, follow him on Instagram, hit him up, give him some business. I want to see him thrive because he's got some of the most amazing rack ideas I've seen on a bike. All right, now to the Signal Boost section of the new hotness, where I highlight up and coming interesting bike YouTube channels, which I enjoy. So a couple of these are favorites on our Discord. There is the bike YouTuber Matty Active. He focuses primarily on mountain biking, a little bit more on the budget end, market that I feel definitely needs to be served. I think he was the first I saw to test out the Ozarks gravel bike, which then kind of became a meme. So if you're interested in what a budget gravel bike or mountain bike will do, definitely check out his website, or definitely check out his YouTube channel. One of my favorite videos of his, I believe it's this one, What's Killing Mountain Biking? And in it, I believe it's this one, he talks about how the perception of mountain biking is like Red Bull Rampage, but the experience for many people is just like chill trails, which I appreciate. Because that's definitely been a barrier for me personally. Getting into mountain biking, I tend to be risk averse because I need my body and my mind to make videos so we can make money. Doing jumps and getting rad and all that Red Bull Rampage BS, no interest in. So I like his approach, definitely check out his channel. The next one that got suggested on our Discord is Biking Zen with Johnny. And this again falls into the emerging category of ride with me / vibe. I believe he's based near or around Chicago, somewhere in Illinois. Just lots of fun, chill videos, great to have in the background. Nothing crazy, just practical and relaxing. So if you're into bike breath or probably riding, but want a little bit more of like a Midwest vibe, then definitely check out Biking Zen Johnny. The last one is Recycles Bikes. I've actually just recorded a podcast with Matt here. And it's a pretty fascinating channel because he runs a bike business that focuses on refurbing and selling used bicycles. And it really breaks down the economics of why sometimes that works better than a bike shop that sells new bikes. So one of his videos that really popped off was, why we're moving on from Surly. And in the podcast interview I did with him, not yet out, we talked about that interesting space of new bikes between 1 to like 2,000, where the margins aren't that great, that you'd actually make the same amount of money refurbing an old bike as you would a new bike in that category. He also goes a lot into the business end, some things he's learned, also his trajectory in income, how much he made just working on bikes in the garage as opposed to having the storefront. I think that's this video here, from year 1 to year 5, how much his income increased in that short period of time. So super interesting if you run a bike shop or are considering, flipping bikes as some kind of business model. He really breaks it down into what's practical, what works, what doesn't work, and lessons he's learned along the way. Hopefully you guys discovered some new things in this week's New Hotness, and if you like this format, want to support the channel, please join us on Patreon. That's the best way to do it. Or pick up some merch. We got stickers, hats, caps, all that good stuff. It's how we pay the bills, how we keep the lights on, and why I'm not constantly pushing affiliate links and discount codes on you guys or doing a bunch of sponsored videos. It's a give or take thing, right? I hopefully give you some value in terms of entertainment and education. And in return, you guys help support the channel. Both Laura and I really appreciate everyone that stepped up to help support the channel on Patreon. And that's it. See you in the next video. And as always, keep the supple side down.